We are going to be starting on week 7, and this week we are going to be talking about the topics over resilience and grit, which are two traits that basically will determine and are considered a part of your success, whether it's college success or success with you being able to achieve and reach your goals. I'm sure you all have heard of both terms before, but we go into a lot of details this week when you do your reading over resilience and grit. And it's going to give you a lot of information that makes you think about yourself and ways in which maybe you hadn't quite determined whether, what kind of things you are resilient at and what kind of grit you actually have. As you do the reading this week, you're going to start out, and it's going to be one of the videos from the Road Trip Nation that was kind of more towards the beginning of class, where you started following along with Melanie, Becca, and Armand on their road trip, where they're basically interviewing different people, and they're kind of just figuring out what they want to do as far as school, what their goals are, and where they're going. So you're continuing on with a video there. So start with this video when you get started with week 7, and then you're going to start your reading over resilience and grit. You're going to have a specific reading over resilience, and then you're going to be completing an activity, a resilience log. And it's going to be a text entry box, or you can type it up in a Microsoft Word document and submit it like that. So just read the directions on the activity. It's very simple. And then you're going to be reading about the topic of grit. And you're actually going to see when you go to this reading, you're going to notice that the information given to you here is by Dr. Angela Duckworth. And when you do the assignment that's going to come after this, you're going to need to refer to this information when you do the assignment. So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed it out, because you're going to see something mentioned about Duckworth's work over grit. And so you'll know that you'll need to go back to this section here, this reading, and then you can use this information after you read over these different elements of grit that you can use basically to help you answer your assignment that comes right after this. So I'm going to go back to the assignment, and there's going to be one other thing that I'm going to point out for this. I'm going to actually click on the activity once my computer finishes uploading everything here. So when you actually click on the activity for My True Grit, you're going to notice something else, because it's going to be asking you to do one other thing. So you're going to identify attitudes and strategies from Duckworth's list, which was on the reading for grit. And then you need to identify 2 items from her list that you would like to develop or strengthen for yourself. And then number 3 here says, write a SMART goal for each item that you state here in number 2. So you actually did reading over goals last week in week 6. So you may need to go back to the week 6 folder and click on the reading for goals. And when you click there, you're going to see that there is a section that is basically explaining to you how to do something called writing SMART goals. And you need to actually write a SMART goal for each of these 2 items that you would like to develop or strengthen in your grit. So go back to that reading in week 6 and go back to the section on goals and read over how to write a SMART goal, because you need to specifically write the SMART, and you need to write out a SMART goal for each of the 2 things that you would like to develop here in number 2. And then for number 4, it says, identify the potential real obstacles that you might have to overcome in order to reach these goals that you're identifying here in number 3. So just please be aware, because last semester I had some students that I guess they didn't know what I was referring to when I was asking for SMART goals. And so you should go back to that section on goals and read over where it actually shows you how to write SMART goals. So that way you can do this part correctly. And then for this one is also a text entry box that will open up, or you can do it on a Microsoft Word document and upload it that way. And then let me go back to our week 7 folder and let this all load up here. And there'll be a little bit more reading. So after you finish these 2 activities, you're going to see the topic of growth mindset, developing your growth mindset, and then some concluding thoughts. And then, of course, you have your health and wellness bonus if you decide to do the bonus points for this week. Really pay attention to these topics when you do this reading, because a couple of weeks from now, you're actually going to be doing an assessment, and the assessment is going to be talking a lot about your growth mindset. And it'll make more sense to you when you do the assessment in a couple of weeks if you really kind of pay attention to this reading and understand what growth mindset means. So just make sure you do this reading and you understand that. This week is really short. It'll be a nice change of pace after having to do with everything with the presentations that you all had to do in your group work. Overall, I just finished grading all of the group presentations, even though it was stressful for a lot of you, because it is hard no matter if you're in a face-to-face class or doing group work at your job, or whether you have to do something like this online. It is stressful. It's hard to nail down a time, get everybody to be able to meet at a certain time to do the recording. And most of you got through it, which shows that you have resilience, and you stuck with it and you still managed to make it happen, even though it did come down to the wire for some people and it was pretty stressful. You all did really well overall. I only noticed minor things. There were some presentations that were lacking a little bit in professionalism as far as, I could see things in the background of the video, like one person, maybe I could see all of their room, and I'm not going to mother you all, but I could see unmade beds. I could see things like that. And it's like, okay, if you're trying to keep it professional, this is me just speaking to all of you for future presentations, or even if you had to do some kind of a conference call with your work at home, you just want to make sure that, if you don't necessarily have the greatest place at home to be able to do a presentation, you can always just focus the screen just on your face where you don't really see anything in the background except maybe a wall. And then that way you don't really have to worry about not only what you're wearing, because if it's just focused on your face, you could be wearing a t-shirt and nobody's going to know it. But, just something like that for future reference if you ever have to do another kind of presentation or anything like that. And if your professor asks for you to be as professional as possible, that not only means what's going on in the background, that there's not a lot of noise, that there's not a lot of distractions, that there's not, I can't see everything in your room and what's going on, because, hey, if you don't like cleaning your room, that's fine. I didn't like cleaning my room. I sometimes still don't like cleaning my room. So, you just want to kind of make sure that you can position your camera where either it's just going to be on your face and then, you can't really see anything, and you don't necessarily have to dress up and dress like a professional if you don't want to. You can just make the camera focus on you that way, and then it kind of keeps other distractions out of focus, because it is distracting for a viewer when they can see that or they can hear a lot of things going on in the background. It's very distracting and hard to focus on what the people are saying. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I got to see everybody's faces that did participate. I got to learn more about each of you, and it was nice just to be able to hear voices, and actually kind of gives a more personal touch to the fact that it is an online class, and I actually got to hear some things from you all and learn more about you. So thank you for sticking with it. Those of you that did manage to get your presentations recorded, I did enjoy them, and hopefully some of your classmates that were doing the critiques of your presentations this week, hopefully a lot of them enjoyed it as well, because they also got to see somebody else in the class and hear your voice and, kind of get a little bit more of a human feel to this online classroom. So anyway, this week is pretty short, only 2 assignments, not too bad, some reading to do. And like I said, just please make sure that you're paying attention to this topic of growth mindset for a couple of weeks from now when we have to do an assessment that's going to be talking about growth mindset. And it's an assessment that you're doing on yourself, so it'll make more sense if you kind of really pay attention to these topics here. All right. And then just remember, for the health and wellness bonus points, we still have 8-9 weeks that you can do this, and you could still potentially get a decent amount of bonus points if you want to participate, especially if some of you missed the group presentation and if you're missing a chunk of points. Just please remember that I need to be able to see on your screenshot that it's a 30-minute workout, that it is within the date for week 7. So I have to be able to see the date, and I have to be able to see the exercise minutes, not the steps, not some of the other stuff. You might have to click around in whatever app you're using to get that information and maybe take more than one screenshot, but I need to be able to see the date of the workout, and I need to be able to see that the workout lasted for 30 minutes. It's not 30 minutes compiled over the entire day. It's a 30-minute workout, whether you're lifting weights, doing the elliptical, treadmill, walking, running outside, swimming, if your device can actually track that, whatever it may be. So just please remember, I need to see total minutes for the workout and the date, and then you will be able to earn your 2 bonus points. And that's just one time this week. So if you do want to participate in that, keep going with that, because that's a good little chunk of points over the course of the semester if you need some extra points. So, okay, that is it for week 7. I will see you all next week in week 8, and I hope you have a great week.